Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing the importance of ADA compliance in public libraries. This presentation is brought to you by Tom Matthews, Caitlyn Stever, and Morgan Brett. We are here in response to an incident that took place in the library last month. Accessibility has always been an important issue to the Schembel Public Library family. But last week, when a patron was unable to attend a program due to the physical constraints of the library, we decided to reassess our physical space as well as the assistive technology we have available to us. What is the ADA? Although the Comprehensive American Disability Act was first passed in 1990, it is the result of decades of disabilities rights activism, especially during the 1970s. The ADA is the culmination of decades of campaigning and lobbying. The American Disability Act was passed by Congress only in 1990. It is the nation's first comprehensive civil rights law addressing the needs of people with disabilities, prohibiting discrimination in employment, public services, public accommodations, and telecommunications. Under the ADA, a disability is defined as a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. Major life activities include things like speaking, walking, caring for oneself, and performing manual tasks. The ADA bans discrimination in the public sphere, including where one is employed, any services or programs offered by state and local governments, or public accommodations, like the Schembel Public Library. Here are some statistics. More than 8 million Americans have hearing problems. More than 8.1 million have vision problems. More than 1.8 million use wheelchairs. More than 1.1 million are blind. More than 1 million are deaf. The National Institute of Health estimates that more than 39 million have learning disabilities. Here is a short timeline of the history of the ADA. In 1973, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act prevents discrimination against individuals with disabilities. In 1990, President H.W. Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act. In 2001, the ALA Council approved the Library Services for People with Disabilities policy. The library has had a long history of providing users with equal access to its resources. But when accommodating users with disability, we must look beyond collection development and consider our physical space, the assistive technology we provide, and how to accommodate employees who may have a disability. In 2012, the amended 2010 ADA standards for accessible design went into effect, ensuring that visually impaired patrons who read by sight, braille, and raised characters are all accommodated with more patron-friendly signage. These regulations have required that libraries take multiple items into consideration when organizing their space, curating their materials, and programming. In addition, the ADA is not static. It is constantly being revised or amended to protect the rights of citizens with disabilities. Therefore, it is important that our building design and amenities not be static as well. Furniture and shelving that can be readily moved is preferable to more permanent layouts. Many disabilities are invisible. Deafness, hearing problems, heart and breathing problems, learning disabilities, and more. Why is this potentially an HR legal issue at the Schemble Public Library? The first reason is civil liability. Civil liability is potential responsibility for payment of damages or other court enforcement in a lawsuit. The second is criminal liability. Criminal liability means to open punishment for a crime. The next is public relation issues. Public relations, or PR, is the way organizations, companies, and individuals communicate with the public and media. A PR specialist communicates with the target audience directly or indirectly through media in an aim to create and maintain a positive image and create a strong relationship with the audience. This could be lost if we do not make our library ADA compliant. This is directly related to fundraising concerns, which involves seeking financial support for our cause and for our building. There are also enforcement agencies that are involved with enforcing the ADA. The Department of Labor is one of the enforcement agencies that is responsible for enforcing this. Other notable agencies are the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which is a federal agency that administers and enforces civil rights laws against workplace discrimination. The Department of Transportation, which its mission is to serve the United States by ensuring a fast, safe, efficient, accessible, and convenient transportation system that meets our vital national interests and enhances the quality of life of the American people today and into the future. The Federal Communication Commission is also another agency on this list because they regulate interstate and international communications by radio, television, wire, satellite, and cable in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories. An independent U.S. government agency overseen by Congress, the Commission is the United States' primary authority for communications law, regulation, and technological innovation. The Department of Justice also has a special sector for the ADA. The section's enforcement, certification, regulatory, coordination, and technical assistance activities required by the ADA, combined with an innovative mediation program and a technical assistance grant program, provide a cost-effective and dynamic approach for carrying out the ADA's mandates. Any of these agencies may file suit on an employee or applicant's behalf if there is evidence of discrimination. How are we going to respond to this issue? That is a great question. It is more important than ever that the Shumble Public Library is aware of the services available to patrons with disabilities. All staff members should familiarize themselves with the assistive technology we have on site, or that which we can request through the library system. They should also inform patrons about the opportunity for home delivery, which will help with issues of accessibility until they are able to physically use the library. Any issues that cannot be addressed immediately should be brought to the director's attention as soon as possible. We will be providing in-house training so that employees can better understand the assistive technology we carry, and each staff member is required to attend one workshop within the library system before 6 months have passed. The workshop should be approved by the director. The first step we have to take will be the library director will obtain a floor plan for the library that accurately shows the layout of the building. This layout will be copied and provided for each library member, assisting in conducting the survey. Participants will also be provided with a checklist for each area of the library. Step 2. Library staff will conduct a survey of the exterior and interior of the library to assess accessibility for patrons and employees with disabilities. The library director and assistant director will be responsible for surveying the interior of the building, while the 2 library professionals on staff have volunteered to survey the exterior and parking. The library will utilize the ADA checklist for existing facilities provided by the ADA. According to the Justice ADA Title III regulations, 4 areas will be the primary focus of this assessment. Priority 1. Accessible approach and entrance. We have to ask ourselves how people with physical disabilities can approach and enter our library with ease. Is there an accessible entrance to the library? Will patrons with disabilities be able to make it to that entrance? How many handicapped and van parking spaces are there? What measurement are these spaces? A parking lot with 25 spots must have 1 van accessible spot that is 8 feet wide with an aisle 8 feet wide. Are access aisles marked to discourage parking in them? Do they allow a clear path to the sidewalk in front of the library? Is the signage near the entrance patron-friendly to those with disabilities? We also must use a door pressure gauge to measure the force needed to open the library door and adjust it as needed. Priority 2. Access to goods and services. All patrons should have the ability to access all areas of the library with ease. Some questions to help us with this are paths inside the library at least 36 inches wide? Do any objects protrude into pathways in the library? Are there elevators or platform lifts? The stairs should be 36 inches wide and have non-slip grip. Do they? Are signs disability friendly? Featured in high contrast, raised text, and braille? Are meeting rooms accessible and feature wheelchair spaces? And lastly, are there tables high enough to accommodate wheelchair users? Priority 3. Access to public toilet rooms. We must be sure that our patrons can access our bathroom facilities with ease. Is the bathroom itself accessible? Is there an accessible route to the bathroom? Is there appropriate signage? Is the door at least 32 inches clear? Can the door be operated with one hand? Priority 4. Access to other items such as water fountains and public telephones. Does the water fountain provide clearance for a wheelchair? Is there a public phone at the appropriate height with volume control? And lastly, do fire alarm systems have flashing lights and audible signals? Next up is step 3. After assessment is completed, each assessment team will consult their notes, paying close attention to the solutions provided for each inadequate area, and add their own ideas on how to make the library more accessible. Step 4. Both teams will meet to discuss their findings and highlight areas that are a priority when considering how to make the library ADA compliant. The assistant director will take responsibility for the project, but report findings and advancements regularly to the director, and will work closely with the library treasurer to formulate a plan that allows the library to tackle priority problems with a reasonable time and remaining within the budget. Step 5. The director will meet with the Board of Trustees to address the findings and to ask for the appropriate funding to move forward with addressing priority areas and improving ADA compliance. Once approved, the assistant director will break down responsibilities according to the department being addressed. The head of circulation will be in charge of assessing the main lobby area and public spaces around the circulation desk and recommending changes to the area more accessible. They will also direct pages when shifting is required for the ability to move shelving units and make aisles wider and more accessible. Likewise, the head of children's, teens, and the adult department will be tasked in addressing issues of accessibility in their own departments and reporting what simple changes could be made and what may require outside assistance. And finally, the assistant director will then work with the director on making more drastic changes that may require greater modifications that have to be done with outside contractors. The adult and children's librarian will reach out to members in the disability community to encourage patronage and receive feedback on developments taking place. Individuals will be contacted in hopes of forming a disability advisory committee, which will provide recommendations for changes in the library and will have the opportunity to plan and host programs of their own accord in the library. Here are some things to think about when taking on a project like this. While undertaking this project, there may be issues of accessibility since we are taking on a major project to improve these conditions. In the meantime, employees are asked to follow our new policy on how to address ADA complaints. Each employee will attend 4 hours of in-service training in ADA compliance. Here is our new policy for staff to address ADA complaints. While undertaking this project, there may be issues of accessibility since we are taking on a major project to improve these conditions. In the meantime, employees are asked to follow our new policy on how to address ADA complaints. Complaints may be made over the phone, in person, by email, or in writing and will be addressed by the library director. The director will do anything and everything in their power to remedy the issue however best they can. If the director fails to provide a solution, a more formal complaint can be made using Accessibility Concerns Form, which will also be reviewed by the director and presented to the Board of Trustees at the next meeting available. The final decision will be relayed to the person filing a complaint. Lastly, if no resolution can be reached in this manner, the complainant may file an ADA complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice. Lastly, if no resolution can be reached in this I just read that. Thank you for our presentation. For more information on how to make your library ADA compliant or to add more services and assistive technologies to an already existing collection, check out ALA's Division for Specialized and Cooperative Library Agencies at ala.org/ASCLA.